um, Hello, welcome back to Fun Facts about the Saints. Well, there's one saint in particular that going to talk to today, but I just want to point out there are a number of saints today, but today, out of them, is Saint Thomas More.
Thank you, Nick. Greetings from the 16th century.
Nice.
May I point out too that my feast day today is actually the feast of my good friend Bishop John Fisher as well, but he couldn't make it. So anyway, but Bishop John Fisher sends his regards. So
awesome. So my first question is, why were you serving as a page for the Archbishop of Canterbury?
Well, when I was young, I thought I had a vocation to the priesthood, but just like other people, like your dad, it became clear later on that my vocation was to marriage and family life, and I became I married and started having children, and I went to law school. I went to law school first, but anyway, became a lawyer, and then I started rising in the ranks in the lay legal profession, and then I became a good friend of the king's, of King Henry VIII, and I became an advisor to him, especially in matters of church and state, and that led to my further career, which you're going to ask about next, I think.
Actually, my next question is... Wait, what?
The second paragraph right there.
Why was... Wait. Oh, yeah. So what was the deal with the laws of England?
Okay, well, so the laws of England, and this is from the church. So throughout, this is during the 1500s, it's the time of the Reformation. There's all kinds of upheaval on the continent with regards to people rebelling against the authority of the church. And suddenly the relationship between the political powers in society and the church's powers became quite confused. And there was questions about how much influence the church should have on the state and the state should have on the church. Anyway, so there became a controversy because King Henry VIII, my sovereign liege, wanted a son, and he wasn't the wife that he had married wasn't bearing him any sons, and so he wanted to divorce her and marry somebody else. But the church, the Pope, said he couldn't do that. So the king decided that he would just basically fire the Pope, which he can't do, and appoint himself as the head of the Church of England. Okay, and that led to all kinds of controversies. But during that time, Henry wanted me to be his chancellor, which is like a very important political position in England. Oh yeah, that's my sign of office there. This is gold. This did not come from Dollar Tree. I want you to understand.
Okay.
And he thought that by making me his trusted chancellor of England, which is the highest office in the land, short of the king, that I would somehow come on his side and support his side against the Pope. But he was wrong about that. So in 1529, I became chancellor. 1532, I resigned because I couldn't do what the king wanted me to do. And then after that, the king was very upset with me, and he basically rigged it so that I would be accused of treason, which was a death sentence. And then in 1535, I was beheaded because I would not give up my faith and my belief that the Pope was the head of the church and not the king. And so I was beheaded in 1535, along with a few other people. And at the time, only my friend Bishop John Fisher, was the only bishop in England who stood up for the true church and stood up for the papacy. He was the only one. And there was really not that many other clergy who stood with the church. But he remained steadfast. I tried to remain steadfast. There was, I think, a bunch of Carthusians who remained steadfast, but everybody else caved. So, anything else you want to ask me?
Well, see, okay, so St. Thomas More is the patron of lawyers.
True.
So, do you have anything you want to say about, how, do you have anything to share about, being a lawyer?
Well, I will say this, that there is a great temptation today, well, at any time, but especially for lawyers, to fudge the truth, to somehow manipulate the facts in order to achieve a certain type of result.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my example as someone who's willing to stand up for the truth, stand up for goodness and truth and the right, even at the cost of my life, should make me, is a good thing that I am the patron saint of lawyers, because lawyers need to not seek an advantage, not seek anything other than the truth.
There's a little bonus after the prayer, of which we're about to do. So, as we just said, he's the patron of lawyers. So we begin to.
Can I say one more thing?
Oh, yes, you can. Anything else you want to share?
Yes, not just lawyers. I do think that I wanted to point out. You started off by asking me about my early vocation, that I decided to become a husband and father. I think Thomas More is also a wonderful patron for. Yesterday was apparently Father's Day in your country. Is that true?
Yes, that
Yeah,
is
so
true.
that's what I heard up in heaven. And he's a tremendous model of a saintly husband and father. He really did. Even though he was the chancellor, he put his family, his wife and his family first. And he loved his wife. His first wife passed away, and then he remarried. He loved his children, tried to be a good example for them. And even though you could some people would criticize him for in fact, his own family was frustrated with him, more than frustrated, that he stood up to the king, despite the impact that it had on their family, but he was trying to be a good husband and father by standing up for the truth no matter what. So, same thing for not just lawyers, but for husbands and fathers, especially these days. We look to St. Thomas More for courage and an example of fidelity to Jesus and fidelity to the truth, no matter what.
Awesome. Now we will do the prayers. As we just say, he's the patron of lawyers. So, we will now do the prayer of St. Thomas More. Let us all do the Son of Cross together. In the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
O God, you will that the witness of the martyrdom should be the finest expression of the faith. Through the intercession of St. Thomas, grant that we may confirm by our testimony, by our lives, that faith which we profess with our tongues. Amen. St. Thomas More, pray for us.
I will.
Awesome. Amen. Yeah, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Also, before you go, there's a movie about St. Thomas More.
Oh, yes.
Be sure to check it out. My dad, I'll send a link.
I'll send you a link. Nick's dad will send you a link. It's called The Man for All Seasons. If you haven't seen it, it does a pretty good job of telling my story.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, just go ahead and check it out. And that's all for today. So thank you all for joining us for Fun Facts about the Saints.
It's real gold.
From Thomas More, from Nicholas Becker, and for the whole team.
This isn't a t-shirt either. This is a ermine hat. Anyway, sorry.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Ah!